Hi again, it's Marissa live at the 2016 14th Annual Indian Wells Arts Festival, and I am super stoked to be standing here with Laurent Martres. Did I get it right?
That's right. Very good accent.
Laurent is a citizen of the world in the truest sense, from France originally, but tell us where else you've lived.
Well, I was fortunate to live in Germany, the UK, and Barcelona in Spain. Mostly I spent most of my years out of France were in Germany. That was about a year and a half, and I went to school there.
Incredible, incredible. And since then, Laurent is an incredibly talented artist. His particular medium involves a camera and lenses, and it takes him all around the world, and he brings it back to us in the form of these incredible photographs. Now we're standing here in front of one of his showpiece photographs, Zen Yaka.
That's right.
Tell us about this photograph.
Okay, so I have to backtrack a little bit and tell you that I also lived for 6 years in Japan when I was an adult, and I was very influenced by the beauty of Japanese gardens, and I was interested in Zen philosophy. And one day I found myself in the White Sands National Monument in New Mexico, and I saw this plant, this Spanish bayonet, standing out in this immense field, dune fields. And unfortunately there was a big storm, and I tried to come out to this yucca several times, and every time I was chased by the rain, and I had to go back to the car, you know, windshield completely blocked, couldn't see anything, big downpour. So I did about 2 or 3 sorties during the afternoon. I stayed about 3-4 hours in my car. And eventually, about 10 minutes before sunset, the sky finally cleared up. And I ran back to the yucca, I set up my tripod, and the sky had, there was a little light, soft light, and it was just perfect. There was very little contrast, so my shadow here was very open, and the sky was still very dramatic. And what's very, very special in this image is that the sand appeared like it's been pelted by the rain. It was pelted by hours of rain, and it appears like a Zen garden. And it's almost, so in my mind, it was like a Zen priest had raked the sand, you know, this immensity of sand. And so that's why I called it Zen Yaka.
Close on this so they can see the detail. Of course, video never does the art and photography justice, but it does look incredibly manicured, and it's amazing to think that this is just nature.
Yes, yes, and you can see the granularity, the granulation of the sand, and it's very, very unique. Normally you see those waves, but they were eradicated by the rain. So let me tell you a little bit about why this is actually my star picture. A lot of people fall in love with it because it's both very powerful and also very meditative and soothing. And it's powerful because there is absolutely no clutter. It's only 3 elements. You have this vast immensity of sand, the dramatic sky, and then in the foreground you have the yucca that is very, very sharp. I don't know if you can see that on the video, but it's like you are in a bed and breakfast, and you are opening the door and you are in the landscape. So it's very powerful because of the simplicity of the 3 elements, but at the same time it's a very soothing and meditative piece. And once you start looking at this yucca, it's very, very difficult to stop looking at it.
It's true, you know, it's not just the symmetry of the plant itself, but the shadow it casts. There's just so many dimensions to it. it draws you in.
Yes, it does. It does. You're already in the landscape. You're right.
So, for people who live outside of a desert area or maybe in colder climates, this is kind of a nice reminder of the warmth and their travels.
Yes,
and
exactly.
So it's a wonderful piece for those of us who live in a desert area, because it's like it shows us the beauty of that natural landscape that we appreciate so much and try to replicate in our own homesteads.
Yes.
But then for people who are out of the area, it's that reminder of that break from a colder climate that they received, or that moment of awe that they found in their travels.
Exactly right. I have a lot of customers from Canada, from Alberta, Saskatchewan, and for them, it's just a reminder. When they come home, they have this reminder of their stay in the desert, and they really enjoy that.
So speaking of awesome moments, I want to take our viewers around your booth. By the way, we're in
G14 and 15.
G14 and 15.
On the rotunda.
That's right. Actually, you're in one of the best spots. Laurent is right here on the Champagne Circle Bar. So you have to come and get some champagne. And then I'm going to invite you. It might sound a little corny, but it's the absolute truth. I'm going to invite you to travel the world with Laurent in G14, because he has got photographs from just about every corner of the world here. We'll take a quick little walk around your booth.
All right.
I may stop us at some of my favorites.
Okay, I'll travel with you.
Where is this amazing pond at? It looks familiar.
Okay, well, so it's familiar because it's looked like a Monet. And in fact, this is Monet's garden outside of Giverny in France, outside of Paris. And I obtained a permit to photograph after hours. So they gave me from 6 to 8 p.m. after the crowds were gone. And so I was able to photograph the scene without anybody in early October.
So this
I have this special light here that you couldn't see if you were visiting during regular hours.
There's so many hues of purple and golds and greens, and the sun is clearly just brilliantly illuminating all of it. That this is Monet's garden
yeah.
in France.
And unfortunately, the night watchman kicked me out at 8 p.m. I would have loved to stay, because to be here by yourself in Monet's garden, this is where he designed the pond, and this is where he created the style of Impressionism.
So it's almost an opportunity to step back in time and be amongst that moment that inspired him to create inspiration that has touched us for years and years and years.
Yes.
That's pretty special to capture that moment. And then down below here, this is a fantastic photograph. I understand this area is very remote and challenging to get to, but I want to say thank you for doing it, because the shot is totally worth it.
Okay, all right, yes. So this is in a, as you said, very remote area. It takes 4-wheel drive, and there is a lot of sand, but it's a fantastic place. Very few people know about it. It's called the White Pocket, and it's slightly south of the state line between Utah and Arizona, in northern Arizona.
Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Now I'm going to pull around. I'll pan slowly because there's so much to look at, but I'm going to pull around to two of my favorites. This actually, if I was going to walk away with a piece today, this would be the one. These are lavender fields in France. Tell me about this photo, because there is something significant. Now normally artists, we tend to think as admirers that you must have your work all over your home because it's so beautiful and lovely, and we forget that artists are people too, and they have other artists who they appreciate and influence them. But if there was a piece that you would have in your own home, tell me about this lavender piece.
Okay, so well, it's not really personal, because it's really my wife who insisted to have. She was with me on this trip, and she seldom travels with me because photography takes a lot of concentration, a lot of scouting, so it's not very conducive to romantic outings with your wife. But anyway, this lavender is really special in Europe, and it's special in France because of the curves and the backgrounds, the mountains. It's not a static field. and it's located in Valençol, in the wonderful province of Provence, in the south of France. And the smells of the lavender are really incredible. They permeate the air, and it's a wonderful area.
I think that may be one of the things that draws me to this photograph, is because first of all, it does look like a painting. It looks like, I mean, just a canvas of an incredible oil.
Yes.
But it also, when I'm looking at this, I feel like I can smell that lavender.
Oh, okay.
It's so relaxing.
Well, okay, well, I've achieved my goal of tempting you into going.
Yeah, oh yeah. You've given me a
right.
good reason. Now, right behind you is one of my other favorite photos, and stay right there because I want people to see the creative behind this photograph. Tell us about this.
Okay, so a little bit of background that I mentioned earlier, is that I had spent some of my youth in Germany, lived there and went to school there, and so I still speak German fairly fluently. And I had heard this lady, first I noticed her extraordinary costume. So I talked to her, I was on San Giorgio Island, opposite the Plaza San Marco in Venice, and I struck a conversation with her, and she told me that she was a costume maker, and she had made, over her career in Venice, she had made about 24 costumes, and her sister was with her, and also she was also wonderfully dressed. So anyway, I saw her pose, and something in her movement was very powerful. She was really, she's not a model, she's really a costume maker, but her poses are fantastic. And she's very slow, so it allows me to capture sharp images, without too much movement. So we became friends. Her name is Teresia Sturm, and she lives in Austria. And so she modeled for me at Casagredo. It's a former Venetian palace that is now a five-star hotel.
Oh, you mean that us regular people have an opportunity to go stay in this fabulous place?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, yeah. So this grand staircase actually leads to nowhere, and so the hotel allowed me to rent this area because it was not interfering with traffic. So anyway, I posed Teresia. Took us about 45 minutes. I also photographed her. They had a harp in another room, and I put her on the harp there, and I have some interesting shots of that too. So anyway, she's a wonderful model, although she's not a professional model. And I sent her a canvas to Austria, and she loved it, and she actually displayed it in her living room.
Of course, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Well, Laurent,
so this picture is called Masquerade.
It's fantastic, and it takes us back in time, and she may not be a model, but she is absolutely wearing that costume.
Yes.
She's bringing it to life. You've got some folks here, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just have one more question for you.
Sure, yeah.
As a citizen of the world, somebody who travels vastly across countries and continents to continents, what's your favorite part about traveling?
Oh, the difficult question. I don't know if I can answer that. Many people ask me, and it's very difficult. I love Europe. You said I'm a citizen of the world, and that's it's very nice to say that because that's what I feel. But I'm basically more of a European than anything. So I love Italy, I love France, I love Spain, but I also love Asia. I lived 6 years in Japan, and I love South America. So it's very difficult to embrace just only one country or region. I'm at ease everywhere in the world, and I want to travel more and discover even more.
What would you tell somebody who loves photography but just bought their first camera? What's your bottom line tip for them?
Okay, so a lot of you hear a lot about patience. Everybody has heard that to be a photographer you have to be patient. And that's true, but the more important quality to becoming a photographer is persistence. So you have to learn from your mistakes, analyze your work, talk to professionals for guidance, be humble, and observe the world with fresh eyes. That's how you grow as a photographer.
Well, thank you for sharing your tips, your insight, and your art with us.
It was my pleasure.
I want to remind folks, today is the third and final day of the Indian Wells Arts Festival. You still have time to come down, talk with Laurent, view his incredible photography from around the world. I mean, honestly, you get to travel the world inside of booths G14 and 15 today. If they don't make it down today, Laurent, where can they find your work?
I only show my work for a certain narrow season of the year, because I prefer to spend more time shooting and traveling. So this is pretty much the only opportunity for folks to come and see me in my booth today, because we are closing today, and very soon I'm leaving for Arizona, where I'm going to take photographs for about 3 weeks. And then after that, May is calling me to the UK first, and then a little bit of Paris, and then southern Italy.
Oh gosh,
so
take us
come
with
today.
you.
It's a wonderful venue, great place to see a lot of beautiful art. And thanks for stopping by my booth at G14 and 15.
Thank you for sharing your time and your work with us, Laurent.
Oh, my pleasure. I enjoyed the interview greatly.